Hey everyone, it's your favorite host, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have come into the Gentleman Style Podcast stage Mr. Tim Woodbridge. He warrants himself and calls himself just a normal guy. But as you see, as we dive into this conversation, you'll see he's anything but normal. An incredible man who graduated with a nursing degree now is pushing past and breaking generational curses and educating people around him and speaking about mobile home investing and the superpower he has taken the world by storm with in this industry. And today we have him on the show to help us change the dynamic, change the perspective, and grow our assets and grow our portfolio and grow our minds. And so I can't help but welcome this incredible man to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage, Mr. Tim Woodbridge. Help me welcome him to the show. Welcome. How you doing, Mr. Tim?
Good, Marcus. Thanks for having me, man. I love the intro and everything. It looks so good, dude. Y'all are killing it.
Thank you, thank you. We had to bring you out in fashion. We have an incredible guest. You're an incredible guest. We wanted to match your fly, sir. We had to. So thank you again for making time and sharing space with us today. Diving right in, I wanted to ask first off, before we dive into your expertise about mobile home investing, you went into nursing. You started off in nursing. Can you explain what was the thought process there and what drove you to become a nurse and get certified in that? Because that's a hard industry. That's also, high in demand these days.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, I grew up and my parents said, get a good job, get a stable job. And I, took a little bit to find out what that was, working odd jobs in my early 20s and then, going to community college and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I really liked human biology. I really liked people. And I was, just okay. How about I go into this? Basically, it's funny. I was like, how about I'll get a bachelor's of science in nursing and I won't regret that. And if I want to go and do other things, I can do other, like a nurse practitioner, a PA, like all sorts of different things. But so I did that bachelor's of nursing. I thought it was going to be easy for some reason. It is not easy. And yeah, went through school, enjoyed the job. And so I did that for 8, 9 years, I believe. I was a nurse, retired a few years ago. But yeah, uh, you know, it, it was really like being a product of growing up with my mom and my dad telling me get a good job, get a stable job. Um, so like while I enjoyed nursing, there wasn't anything kind of like in my life like, oh, this is a way to create wealth because no one in my family knows how to do that or knew how to do that. So yeah, it's a good job. It's a good job. It's a hard job, but it was very stable.
For sure. Was mom and dad or anybody else in the family in the medical profession?
My aunt is, and so I didn't like follow in anyone's footsteps as much as
Okay.
I explored a lot of different things, and I went for what resonated with me.
Makes sense. That's fair. So you are as long as that leg goes, you dove into something just based off of your own experiences, not necessarily because you were impressed by your aunt or anything she was doing. Like, oh yeah, those scrubs. I could see myself in a scrub. You didn't that didn't happen. That wasn't a thing.
No, not at all, not at all.
That's fair. That's fair. And so when did the bug happen for you? When did you realize that there was another avenue outside of your nursing and climbing the corporate ladder in the medical profession? When did that bug hit you?
So, with nursing, I always had this like, as soon as I get here, I'll be happy. And like, as soon as I graduate from nursing, I'll make good money. And I did, but like, it still left a dissatisfaction in me. Um, but, about 7 or so years ago, I moved to South Carolina. Um, Ex and I broke up, and I just decided to move because my youngest brother was here. And, I started reading more, and I came across the same book that so many real estate people come across, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read that and it like, asset and liability were new terms to me back then. So it was like, oh, like, like seeing behind the curtain. It's like, oh, this is how people do it, you know? Uh,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, from there, just really read a ton, listened to a ton of podcasts, heard Frank Rolfe on the Bigger Pockets podcast, and he was talking about mobile home parks. And I was like, okay, like that resonated with me. So I found one that was for sale on mobilehomeparkstore.com and just went after it. And, a lot of ups and downs trying to get that first one. And, a lot of ups and downs since really figuring out the industry. But yeah, I just kind of took action and figured it out as I was going.
And that's thank you for sharing that. And that's real, right? I wanted to stay right here on this because this is good. What in the mobile home park industry excited you the most? Because in real estate, because Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, talks about real estate kind of like as a broad stroke, right? You should get into real estate. But as you and I and everyone knows, that there's numerous facets to real estate. There's single family, there's multifamily, there's mobile home parks, there's vacation rentals. So there's numerous accolades and different various ways to get into real estate. What specifically about mobile home parks compared to the other asset classes within the real estate game excited you most? What stood out?
So yeah, you can definitely do well in anything you pick as long as it resonates with you and you want to continue doing it even when it gets crappy.
Yeah.
So what I liked about mobile home parks and what I still like is you got low tenant turnover. You got generally a lot of times tenants will own their home, so they'll be really sticky tenants for years and years and years. Um, yeah, as long as you treat them right, and you don't jack their rent up too crazy. Um, you got, pride of ownership in homes generally, if someone owns their own home, they're taking care of it more than they would an apartment or like a rented house. And then it was I mean, it's a little alternative, right? So it's not the norm. It's not buying your single family house. It's not buying your apartments. It was a little different, and I mean, that resonates with me. When everyone's doing this one thing, I'm doing this one thing, for better or for worse. That's just kinda my attitude. So, yeah, that it grabbed me, and I did it, and the more I do it, the more I realize the fundamental need. There's a fixed supply of mobile home parks in the country, and there's an ever increasing demand for affordable housing. So I'm like, oh man, like, you know, I got into it because I wanted to get rich. I am continuing to do it because of all the interesting benefits that the asset class has. And like, more than just making money, we're making a difference.
Absolutely. That's huge. Huge, huge, huge. You mentioned something that people I wanted you to expound on a little bit more because you said there's more tenant owned homes. Can you break that down in relation to a different asset class, right? And so what do you mean by that? When you say more tenant owned homes, so there's more pride and there's more love and ownership and taking pride in taking care of that home. So you don't own all the buildings in the mobile home park yourself?
Correct. And there are like you can. Some people own like all park owned homes. The park owns every home. They run it out like an apartment. And you can. That's not really how we like to do it. We like to work, I consider tenants kind of like partners. So it's like they own their home. I rent the land to them. We make the common areas nice. They keep up their homes, and so yeah, a lot of times people will own their homes, and it's just it's you know people care more when they have ownership in it, and so yeah, I'd rather have a partner that I can work with rather than like a tenant who's just like fly by night sort of thing.
Absolutely. Aren't you missing out on a potential revenue stream though? Because if you own the building and you own the land, that means I'm paying you to lease your mobile home and the land. So I'm paying you two times. versus if
Mhm.
you just own the land and you have an available space where I can put my mobile home in that slot. If you have space available, then I'm just paying you for the land. I don't have to pay you on the home. Aren't you losing on revenue stream there?
Yes, but right? So, yes, we're losing on the revenue stream, but our expense ratio is a lot lower. So, we just closed a 4 park portfolio in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And so, like, there's 59 park owned homes. And on that, park owned home portion of the rent, it was like I want to say it was like 75% of that was going to maintaining the older homes. So it's like, yes, but and really, like, if you're looking at global the value of your park and not just like a revenue, like recurring revenue thing, like the valuation of the park's going to go up with more tenant owned homes. So you're going to get a better cap rate at sale. And like you're gonna have more headache. And I'm sure we could both share stories of having the handyman come by and craziness happening, or just difficulty getting handyman. Fortunately, like, with the caveat, I'll say that right now, we have a great one up in Spartanburg. He has worked with my partner who also lives up in that area, and he's amazing. But a lot of times it's not as good as working with him. So
That's honest. That's honest. That's real. And so shout out to your handyman. We
he's so
love
good. He's so good, dude. Yeah.
in real estate. You want to, if you can have a reliable handyman, that's big. That's major. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to touch on things. When you went in, you dove in after watching the Bigger Pockets, reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. You went for it and you found a mobile home park on a website, and then you went after it. Can you share some of the pros, some of the lessons learned that you learned in purchasing your first deal that most people don't think about, those myths? Can you debunk some of them today?
Yeah. Go in with a plan. So, okay. This one was 10 of 36 lots were occupied. And like the only real plan I had was buy it and then get more homes in it. I didn't know how I was gonna do it. Um,
So there, it was
and
it was
I
a lot of vacant spots on the property. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, we're occupancy up to like 92% right now, and I'm I'm glad that I just took action because it made me learn as I was going. If I didn't, if I waited to know everything, I wouldn't have taken the action because I still don't know everything. But so yeah, I mean, if you're going into it, like, have kind of a plan and maybe work with someone who does have the experience. I went through a lot of headaches, and yes, I do have friends who could help, and who I could bounce ideas off, who are farther ahead than I am. Um, but like, if I had partnered with someone with more experience or with any experience, things probably would have been a lot better.
You did it all by yourself, that first deal.
Well, so it's 50-50, a partner and me, and I run it generally. I'm like 95% of the park I run and manage.
Absolutely. So that's huge. What's one obstacle that you didn't anticipate when buying that first deal that you had to overcome?
Water sewer issues. I mean, I know I read about it and it was just kind of in the back of my mind, but going forward, it's like, okay, scope all the sewer, because it's an old park. And so we're still having issues. I mean, we this year, I think we've spent, so 20,000 plus another 10. We're like 30 to $35,000 in fixing some major infrastructure issues. And I mean, I don't regret purchasing it, not at all. But if I knew more about it, I could have budgeted better.
Absolutely. So typically, when it comes to mobile home parks, do the properties connect to the city supply line, or is that provided by the owner? Do they have like a potable water tank and rainwater is collected and supplies the clean water that way, What kind of problems did you have exactly, or were there issues with connecting to the city line?
So there's all you can like all sorts
All
of
of the
different
above.
things, right? So you could
All
do
of the
city
above.
water, city sewer, where it's like direct bill and you don't mess with it at all. There's city water, city sewer, where it's master metered, where like it's billed to you and like you own the infrastructure under the grounds. That's our first park is like that. You can also do like, well water, septic, wastewater treatment plant. We're buying a park up in Virginia right now that is city water and then wastewater treatment plant. So it's like, just learning the ins and outs of things. There are lagoons like for
Lagoons.
a sewer system. I don't mess with that, and that's not really I'm not interested in messing with it, but some people do, and some people are really good at it, so
What? Why not? Why are you not interested in that?
because 'cause it's got a lifespan, like, a limited lifespan, and it's one of those things that, like, a lot of people in the mobile home park space stay away from, so, like, I'm always thinking, "What's the exit?" You know? Like, if, our plan is buy, fix, get this better, get our investors at least 2x their equity multiple, double their money in 5 years, sort of thing. Um, and the like having a lagoon dramatically decreases the amount of people who are going to be interested in buying it. So it's like, why? We've got deal flow. Like, why even venture into that right now? So
That's a fact. For our audio listeners who may be unfamiliar with a lagoon and what he's referring to when it comes to the water system and the potable water system inside a mobile home park. So I'll read you the definition. A mobile home park lagoon typically refers to a lagoon style wastewater treatment system. This system uses a pond like structure to treat and manage sewage from the mobile homes. The lagoon allows for natural breakdown of waste through microbial activity, making a cost effective and environmentally friendly option for waste management in some mobile home communities. So, for those who was wondering what he's talking about, that's why he's avoiding
yeah,
lagoons, because there's a whole system in place that you have to be very diligent on, or else you'll have issues. You'll have issues with your sewage system, and it's all on you. So, I hope that that helps break down. So you talked about here, we're looking at your Facebook page, and you're talking about the deal in Virginia that you
yeah,
just
yeah.
launched
That's
on
it,
October
bro.
9th. So let's talk about it. What how'd you find it? What makes it a good deal? Can you talk a little bit about this deal here?
Yeah, for sure, dude. So I find all deals through brokers, right? I go on market. A lot of people say deals go to die on market. I think uh, you're not going to find deals, but you're going to make deals, right? So what happened here is, talk to the broker, ran the numbers, put out a LOI. It didn't work at the time, and it was like, okay, well, can we follow up? And the broker and I followed up. We're on friendly terms. So, one thing for anyone who's new, be friendly. Like, don't be a jerk because then no one's going to want to work with you. Even if, you think, oh, that's a crazy price. How can anyone pay that? It's like, I don't know. Someone can pay it, maybe. And like, maybe someone who's farther ahead of you, who's got cheaper access to capital or access to cheaper capital and cheaper loans, stuff like that. So it's like always be friendly because stuff comes back and you want to, when if and when it comes back, you want them to call you. So anyway, um so couldn't get to this guy's number and like again, it's all based on investor returns. So like I'm not lowballing anyone. Like I try and give everyone the price that they want, but in order to do that, I have to give like double investors' money in 5 years. Anyway, so yeah, it nothing happened, and then a couple months later, I talked to the broker again just to see if he had anything else. He didn't. A month later, he calls me and he says, "Okay, like the seller is ready to move forward with the deal. Like if you're still interested." And so we said, "Yeah, yeah." And so yeah, got it under contract. Have done a lot of on-site due diligence to really make sure that we're mitigating any risks, any like potential issues that we thought. Um, made sure, so it's 2 parks, and the smaller park has a wastewater treatment plant. So, met with the local, I don't know if they're plumbers, whatever. They're wastewater treatment guys, right? So they specialize in that. So met with them to make sure, what do we need to budget? Because say this thing goes out and it needs $1 million worth of work, that's not a deal killer if we can budget for it. But he said no, like a lot of it we have replaced as of late, and this thing's going to be good for the next 10 years. And we'll go out every quarter, we'll do it. So yeah, it's just mitigating unknowns and doing a lot of due diligence on stuff. So with that first deal I had, like, had I done a lot of this stuff, I could have budgeted for it. I'm not saying, I would have went in and tried to retrade or anything, but I could have been like, okay, in the next 5 years, I'm going to have to spend $30,000 or whatever, $36,000 or whatever it's going to be. And then I could have just broken that down, put a little bit of money aside every month, a little bit more than we're already putting aside.
And put that in retained earnings, and you can plan for the maintenance down the road. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right in my backyard. I'm in Virginia. So that stuck out to me. I was like, whoa, right here in Virginia. So super dope.
Yeah, bro.
Super dope. What changed the seller's mind? Because he initially didn't want to sell. What happened? Is he retiring? What was his deal or her deal?
So he has a lot of mobile home parks, and they are clustered in a different part of Virginia. And so this was his outlier. So he had it, and I think he wasn't getting the bites that he wanted, and he more wanted it off his books than not. And so, he's like, okay, like he heard other people who wanted to buy for similar to what we're buying for. And so he's like, okay, well, how about I list with my friend so the seller and the broker are friends. And so, that's why I came back.
Okay. And you stayed in touch with that broker and continue to remain relationships and stay top of mind. That's key, y'all.
Yeah.
I want to highlight that. That's key. Staying in connection with those brokers, because they can send you deal flow depending on what market you're trying to take over. So huge brain on Mr. Woodbridge here. Incredible.
Yeah. Definitely. I stick with, be a good person, be friendly, and like that's it. Be easy to work with as much as possible. Don't be a jerk. And I swear, like, it's so easy. It's such an easy thing to think of, that people think that I am making stuff up, but I'm like, I swear that is such a big part of my success is being decent, being a good person, and trying to do the best that I can, and being friendly.
That's it. Close the book, shut the door. That's it, y'all. That's the end of this. No, I'm just kidding. That's
it.
That is powerful, sir. You are absolutely powerful. You guys, this is an incredible interview. Another round of applause from Mr. Woodbridge. You guys, stay connected, stay tuned. We are going to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Baby Gear Services DMV specializes in high-quality baby gear rentals in the Maryland and DC metro area. We have a wide range of baby gear items for rent, including wooden cribs, car seats, high chairs, and more. We also offer seasonal specials and free delivery. Our prices are very versatile to cover every budget. Wooden cribs start at $17 a day, high chairs and even car seats start at $5 a day. Check out our website, www.bgsdmv.com.
Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we are here in Patrick Henry Mall, Newport News, Virginia. We're actually here for something unique just inside. Something new, brand new that we want to explore together. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Hey, boss. Heard you are an athlete, man. See you at the mall every day. We are at Patrick Henry Mall, living up, and we are talking about CBD. But first off, The normal thing that we all deal with is joint pain, back pain, suffer from everything.
Neck pain too.
Neck pain?
Yep.
You got some neck pain?
All the time, man. I'm getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? We're not young no more.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Bruh, CBD helps with the exact same thing. Neck pain, back pain, joint pain, all the pains, everywhere pain, right? And so that's what CBD does. That's what we're here to help you and me do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right.
CBD is one of the most powerful cannabinoids because all it's focused on is the health and wellness. We're talking helping people with anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep deprivation, all provided. CBD works with the natural mechanics of your body without the crazy side effects of Western medicine. So these products are here to actually align your body and get it back right so we can actually have a better quality of life. And that's what CBD does. We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we have the incredible Mr. Tim Woodbridge here on the show. He's spilling the tea on mobile home investing, how he did it, how he broke down his first deal, what things to be look for, pros, cons, everything in between. If you missed that, scroll back, go back and check him out. We are on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Ghana, Radio, iHeartRadio, Audible, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and anywhere you get podcasts, we are there. Check him out. He's absolutely spilling the tea on this show. Mr. Woodbridge, sir, you touched on something earlier that I wanted to point back out. You mentioned the deal that you currently have, we're working on. You gave some insight, you gave some tips, you gave some things that you like to stay away from. Let's talk about financing. How did you secure financing for that first deal? Did you go straight into raising money, going to a bank, asking family and friends? What are some of the ways you were able to close on that first deal?
So it's a small park in a small town in South Carolina. It was very difficult. It was talking to a lot of banks and hearing a lot of no's. And then finally talking to the seller and being like, we've got no one. And he's like, actually, I went to high school with a vice president of a local bank. So, he hooked us up with him, with the banker, his banker friend. And so they gave us a 70% loan. The seller carried back, 20%, I think. And then we brought, I tapped a partner to bring 10%. Or no, actually less. So he brought 5%. We needed to bring 5% to the deal. So the seller carried back, 20%. And so my partner brought 5. I brought closing costs, which was like $6,200. And so yeah, it was difficult. It's so much easier now. It's so much easier now. So the difference between then and now, when we are buying bigger deals, we can utilize loan brokers, and there's some really good loan brokers who specialize in mobile home park financing. I'll shout out, my loan broker on this one is Chaim Sherwinter from Meridian Capital. I'll shout out Emma Norman from Eastern Union, and then Judah Avarat from Princeton Capital. Those are going to be your big loan brokers in the mobile home park space. But yeah, so on this one, we're going with Vanderbilt, which is have done a few deals with them so far. I love working with them. They specialize in mobile home park financing. So they love park-owned homes. They are a part of, Berkshire Hathaway, and then Clayton Homes, and then Vanderbilt Financing. I'm pretty sure it's all subsidiaries and stuff like that. But yeah, they love the asset and they understand the asset. The thing that's difficult when working with lenders who aren't as familiar with it is they're not as keen on it. Banks that aren't familiar with the asset, they don't understand. And, a lot of times when you don't understand, it's a no. So yeah, I really like working on bigger deals where there's enough money around where we can pay loan brokers their 1% of the, the loan amount so they can find like the best loans for us. So we're not having to hustle and find those banks. So it's it's a lot easier now than it was on that first deal.
So that you recommend that instead of you going bank to bank to bank, you utilize the loan broker who just collects all the data they need on you, on the deal, and then they shop the market and try and find you something. And you said you
Yeah.
got that relationship through a friend, not, you didn't, that wasn't a Google search. So what would you recommend someone do if they're trying to connect with a loan broker to kind of go into that? Is there a website?
Uh,
Is there anything like
so I'd
that?
say like join local or not local, join Facebook groups that specialize in your asset class, right? If you're self-storage, if you're multifamily, if you're mobile home park, if you're like whatever, join that and then ask for other people. And that's how I've met, my loan brokers or my friends now, right? So it's definitely word of mouth and seeing who's being like who's consistently showing up, who's consistently there and closing deals or helping people. So I really like doing what I'm best at and then hiring out everything else. So yes, any day of the week I would love to get a loan broker so they can do what they're great at. So I don't have to half-ass what they're great at, right? For lack of a better term.
That's true. That's true. That's real. That's real. Do you feel mobile home parks are a sustainable long-term investment? Do you think they can withstand the test of time, or are they a temporary cash flow strategy? Right, it's something that to get into, make some money, make it nice, and then sell it. What do you think?
I mean, you can do that, but no, I think like there's a ever increasing demand for affordable housing. So I think if it's not mobile home parks, it'll be something similar, um, because that need's always there. So um, I don't see them going anywhere. Other than people who own them right now selling them for that and having them be like demolished and turned into apartments because that's your highest and best use of the land sometime. So I mean, if I own it and I want to keep it as that, there's all sorts of laws of being like grandfathered in and whatnot. um so I don't see them going anywhere. I see just ever increasing demand, and that's why I want to buy all of them.
Get them all. Get them all. I want you to. I want you to get as many as you can. That's huge. And so, what can you break down real quick? What is the rent compared to what makes it an affordable housing? What makes it affordable? What's the rent on a typical mobile home park versus a traditional rent in an apartment complex or condo?
So it's market dependent, like anything, right? We usually for like a say we're doing a park owned home model. We don't always do it. We don't do it as too much, but if we were, we usually go like $100 less than the market for a two bedroom. And then lot rent, like real like rough numbers will be like half of what your rent would be for like a studio or a one bedroom in the area. So if your typical studio one bedroom rents for $1,000, usually your lot rent will be 500. So you own your own home, you get to do with it as you please, and you get way cheaper monthly rent than you would if you're going to a home or an apartment or whatever.
That makes sense. And so how do you raise rents typically, and what factors need to be in place in order you to raise rent? Because I think right now they're talking about putting a cap rate and limits on landlords who went crazy during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
On restricting how much you can raise your rent. So how do you typically structure that and work out the numbers when considering? I don't want to say like you always raise rent, but like I've met landlords who like I raise rents every year, no matter what, right? And so, what are your thoughts when it comes to raising rent for a mobile home park in order to keep it affordable, right? So, can you
Mhm.
share some nuggets there?
Yeah, so I mean, we generally do go up every year. We go gently. So say real life example, you know, we closed on that Spartanburg portfolio. It's like 150 to $200 under market rent when we bought it. So we're going up like $75. So we're not all of a sudden, you know, going day one up like super aggressively, but we have to go up in order to maintain like ability to put money back into the park. And really, like, you know, I would love to keep rent the same forever. But the reality is if I don't go up a little bit, then someone will, you know, it's again highest and best use of land. So if I am at 300 and market rent is 700, then either someone's going to come in, they're going to buy that mobile home park, they're going to jack it up to 700, and like that is going to be a crazy shock. Whereas if we just do it yearly, it won't be as crazy. Or they'll come in, they'll see the land, and they'll say, oh, like the highest and best use of this land is definitely an apartment, not a mobile home park. So, you know, they'll come in, they'll offer me some crazy price, and I'll probably take it because also I love the asset class, but like it's all business plan and getting good returns for investors and whatnot. So they'll say, oh, I'll give you this price that is crazy because I'm going to come in and demolish this and put apartments in. And so like that's kind of why we go up. I mean, we go up short to make money. You know, if anyone tells you it's not to make money, then they're full of it. But it's also to make sure that, you know, we're staying in line with our business plan and we're making sure like we don't go above market rent, but we, you know, go up slowly. And once we hit market rent, we stay pretty hand in hand with it.
Love it, love it, love it. I wanted to stay right here on this breath of fresh air, because you're a breath of fresh air and you're really speaking to the inner work that you have to things to consider when owning a mobile home park, right? Because there are some people that just kind of buy it and they walk away. Oh, my hands are clean, and they make money. And that's how these mobile home parks get dilapidated over time. They don't maintain the park, they don't upkeep the premise, they don't do things. So, question for you: how do you ensure the quality of life for your residents while still maintaining profitability? Right? How do you ensure? How do you balance that? Because that's not easy. That's not an easy thing.
So it's, you know, we have a business plan. We stick with making sure we're, you know, aligned with our business plan. We make sure that, you know, people's needs are addressed. So, if, you know, we use Buildium property management software. So they put something in Buildium, oh, this is an issue. And then we communicate with them. Like we're all about over communication to tenants and to investors. And then we get it done and make sure that it's, you know, it's not becoming that slumlord park. Like that's not our style. We want to make things like, yeah, we're going to make money, but also we want to make this a nice place to live for everyone. So it's definitely a balancing act. We don't like when we're underwriting, you know, we don't put in giant rent increases. Sure, like, okay, this park needs $1 million of capital expenditures, some capex improvements to make it nicer. So what we'll do is we like put those numbers into the analyzer, right? While still maintaining gentle rent increases. And I know gentle is subjective, right? So a gentle $75 increase to me is hard on some tenants, and you know is too little to some operators. And it's just we do with the best we think we can do, while not like jacking people up too much and making it unreasonably difficult, while still maintaining a good place to live.
That's so true. One of the things I try to tell businesses, right? Because I'm also in business. I try to tell businesses, when you raise your prices, you need to give value. You need to give
Yes.
value. You cannot sit there and just raise your prices. I know many barbers um that do this. And I use that example because it's the quickest one that came to mind. But barbers do that all the time and they lose customers, and they don't realize that you're raising prices artificially without justification for it. Right? If you're raising your prices just because, right, your mortgage went up, or your car payment is this, or your bills went up, or this and that. That's not a justification. That's not justification to raise your prices on a haircut, right? You need to be giving value, meaning, do you wash? If you raise your prices, you should be washing my hair automatically and
Hmm.
doing other
Hmm.
things with it, adding value. Don't just artificially raise your prices and not give your customers anything for it, right? Are you using
Yeah.
quality products in my hair? Like prime example, my old barber, he raised his prices, and a lot of people thinks his prices are ridiculous. But he can color your hair. He knows how to add a wig. He can install a wig for those men who are suffering from hair loss. He can install wigs. He can color, and he cuts like a younger man. And oh, by the way, he automatically washes your hair. So those are not additional services that you have to pay for, right? And it makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Oh yeah.
again, if you're raising your prices and you're $100 a haircut, there needs to be justification. And so, what are some things that improvements that people can make to increase that capex to a mobile home park? Because it's not like a multifamily apartment building where I can add a property management, I can add a dog park, I can install a pool, I can put a clubhouse. What are some things, some improvements that you can make to a mobile home park to increase that capex?
Well, I mean, you can do all that stuff you just said.
You can add a pool
You-
to
yeah, yeah, yeah. Why not? I mean, it's
what?
a piece of land, right? You
Okay.
can. Shoot, there's no limits to what can be done. Um, Typical things you're gonna do. You're gonna improve the roads. That's a big thing. There's a lot of older parks and the roads are just crap, and it sucks. It's there's no better way to say it other than I'm driving and like just doing my best to really go at an angle when I'm doing like due diligence because I'm going to bottom out my car, and
Mm,
it's just crazy. So yeah, roads are a big one. You could do new signage. You could do like uh, you know, maybe they're all tenant-owned homes, but they all look kind of junky. Put some budget in and go in and fix up people's homes that you don't own just to make the place nicer. Um, and I want to touch on totally, for anyone in the business, anyone in any business, think about how can you add value? How can I add value to this interaction? Or how can I add value to people ahead of me? How can I add value to tenants? Like if you get in that mindset, it's a game changer because you're going to get obsessed with how do I add value? And those are the people who win, exactly like you're saying, hey, I'm going to charge more, but like I am adding so much value that it's not even a question. And for the people who are going to be like, oh, that's too much, I'm just going to go elsewhere. It's like, well, you don't need to do business with them because you've got that core group of people who really accept the value you're given. And you're doing things in the right order. You're providing the value first. And then you say, okay, well, here's my price because of this value.
that's fair. That's fair. Are there any hard, and thank you for that. Thank you for being so open about that, right? That's real. I never considered, because again, I think mobile home park is a lot of land. I don't think about, can I add a community pool center that people can go to in the park? I've heard of other investors, they fix the skirting, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you do that. Do you maintain that, or do you make that a priority for the occupants to maintain their skirting? I guess it depends because you lean on the side
That's
of they own their home, so I'm not going to fix your skirting, or maybe you would. I don't know. What do you?
what I mean, we fix skirting and then like we'll bill it back. So if it costs a grand or whatever, we'll
Okay,
fix it and then bill it back over 12 months, something like that. I like mobile home parks because it's a lot of like, okay, what works for you, right? So there's not like a hard and fast, we're gonna do this and you need to pay this back or blah blah blah. It's like, okay, what can you afford? What makes sense to you? Because we are very cognizant this is affordable housing. So if I said you need to fix your skirting, and then if you don't, I'm just gonna fine you. It's like, well, no, that's not really creating a solution. Like, what can we do? Hey, we'll fix this for you and we're going to bill you back. Can you afford that extra $100 a month? Oh, you can't? How about $50 a month and we'll recoup it in 2 years? Like, let's make something so you're not always stressed and you're not strapped for cash and whatnot. So I like the flexibility that we can allow.
I love that. That's huge. That's huge. Was another thing that was unique to me when I heard about it is like some mobile home parks, the owner pays the water, like they're not billing the tenants. So that's a quick improvement that you can then add. There's
Yeah.
this new thing on the block. Well, it's not new, but it's new to some people, where it's like a digital meter reader, where you install it on the property, and it's just a digital reader that you just tap and scan, and it gives you that water bill for that unit, so your property manager can just walk around once a month and just digitally scan or download those water meters. Is that what you have on your properties?
Mhm. Yeah,
Super dope.
I mean, there's different kinds. We use Metron in some, and no one has to scan anything. It's like it communicates through like the cellular lines, and so like I can pull it up on my phone or on my laptop and be like, oh, this is how much you used last month, and so our bookkeeper goes in, bills everyone through there, so it's even easier, man. I love good solutions.
You love automation. I love automation. You and I think
Yeah,
alike in that
yeah.
regard. If I can automate it, if I can automate it and remove the third party, then that's a win. And that sounds fairly inexpensive. The cost, yeah, you may have paid to install it. Did the property already have that, or did you install that?
So on the first one, they were all like manual reads, and like the
Whew.
seller was like he lived in town, right? So he'd go and once a month he'd read it, and then he'd post something saying like, "This is how much you use. This is what you owe." And I'm like, "Ooh, that is some inefficiency right there, man. I'm not going to go up there every month and do that." And the funny part, okay, so I did that for the first few months because I didn't know any better and I didn't have a better solution. But like the pain of doing it led me to figure out what is a better way to do this. So anytime you have pain in your life, like see that as an opportunity. How can is there something I can do about this? Can I make this better? If if so, then let's do that. If not, well, okay, that's just something I have to accept in my life. But either way, don't see that for anything other than like potential opportunity.
Facts. Hashtag mic drop. If I could have given you a mic, another
There we
mic.
go.
That is super dope. Any discrepancies, and we're not talking ill about the previous owner, right? But anything that
Yeah,
was he
yeah.
very organized when you offered him the deal? Was he, when you asked for a profit and loss, did you ask for 6 months? Did you ask for a year? Was he very organized when you were talking to him about the deal?
So yeah, uh, definitely not disparaging. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
But like there are a lot of people who run things as mom and pops and their books aren't clean, and that's fine. Like so he's a retired pharmacist. He collected his check every month, and like the way that I do them as a professional mobile home park investor were different than the way he does them. And like there's a ton of mom and pop owners, not anything bad about it because it works really, really well for them. But yeah, so it's like, okay, how can we do this? How can we make this more organized? And when I took over the park, it was me in Excel spreadsheets. Okay, this is, just doing it super simplistic. And again, that became a pain to me. And the pain led me to property management software. So we use Buildium now. And it's like all self-contained. And then eventually, oh, I'm doing this repeatable process. Let me get a VA bookkeeper. And I've had him for 4 years, 3.5, 4 years or so. And he's great. And then, just little by little making it so like we've developed in-house property management company that works with all of our parks now, and it's yeah, all those like things that were pain to me have become all this like really great opportunity for making it a better running ship.
Absolutely. Are there any things that you would what advice would you share? Because I've heard the horror stories, right? They're talking to the seller and the seller is like, okay, show me your rent roll, right? And it's like, oh, he got, he got like one little notebook that he wrote down and that's it. That's their rent roll. So anything would you recommend anything else to in place of that? Like say I'm going to buy my first mobile home park and they didn't keep good books. What could I ask for in place of a rent roll to help give me an idea of whether this property or this site this mobile home park is making money. Any tips there?
I mean, yeah. So first of all, lower your expectations sometimes, and that's
Ooh,
okay to lower those expectations, right?
yeah.
Um, and so the mindset here is you're working on the same side with them, right? As soon as it's like I'm working against a seller, it's losing a proposition. So it's like I'm working on the same side as them. Hey, like give me, okay, you can't come up with a T12, a P&L, whatever. Okay, can you give me like a monthly breakdown of kind of what you're paying? And then like how about taxes? How about insurance? Because those are, one-off expenses throughout the year. And then, you kind of create your P&L from that. Ask for bank statements and stuff. Maybe they'll give it to you, maybe not. A lot of times I'll be like, I'm trying to sell this to the bank, so they'll give me a loan. So it's not Tim asking and being, hard to work with. It's like, hey man, we're on the same side. In order for us to buy this, we have to get the bank on board. And everyone knows how banks are. They're super like detailed. So it's not me being a pain. It's like, man, I'm just trying to do this so we can both win here. So like, can we go through this and see like, do these numbers make sense? Hey, I put this spreadsheet together. Again, provide value. Hey, I put the spreadsheet together. Does it look pretty accurate to how things are actually running? And if not, like, help me correct it. Again, you're taking this to the bank, or like now I take things, okay, here's what the numbers are in order to get my investors their minimum returns. Where am I wrong? Show me. I just sent out a LOI earlier. I was like, I know it sounds like I'm lowballing. I promise I'm not trying to lowball. I want to get everyone the price that they want. But the numbers, like based on what it's producing, in order to get our investors this, here's the number. Do you have any time, Mr. Broker, do you have any time in the next week or two? Can we go over these numbers together and see if there's anything we're off on? I don't give offers out because I want to, screw anyone over. I want to give everyone their price, but numbers are numbers sometimes.
Facts. Facts. You've mentioned this a couple times, so I want to continue to serve the audience and everyone listening and watching this. A letter of intent, LOI, is what he's talking about. So a letter of intent is a real estate investing is a brief, non-binding document that outlines the basic terms of a potential property deal. It serves as a starting point for negotiations between a buyer or tenant and property owner. The LOI, letter of intent, typically includes key terms such as the purchase price, contingencies, and the timeline for the transaction. The main purpose of a LOI is to formally declare the buying party's intent to purchase a property and to establish a framework for further negotiations. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. You've mentioned it numerous times, which is great, and I love it. I just want to help my audience serve
Totally.
them. Absolutely. This
Totally.
is huge and this is phenomenal. Are there any questions that I should have asked you that you wanted me to ask you in terms of mobile home investing that I should have asked that you can speak to now?
So always think of kind of like the end in mind and like what you're aiming for. So I was talking to someone yesterday and he was like, "Hey, I'm, exploring different asset classes. I want to hear why you're like what you like about mobile home parks." He was thinking maybe he should get into it. And I was like, "No, no, no." I was like, "Tell me what you're excited about first." And then, he was talking and giving me his backstory and whatnot. And he's like, okay, he's raised capital, he's done all this like private equity stuff, and like he loves investor relations. And so I'm like, well, like you likely, from where I am, I think he should not go into mobile home park investing. He shouldn't go into any specific asset class investing. He should be raise capital with different groups. So like, you know, just because everyone says, "Oh yeah, look how well he's doing, look how well Tim's doing," and like whatever, look how well Grant Cardone's doing because he's an apartment investor. It's like, no, no, like figure out what you like, figure out what's exciting to you, and then that will hopefully help guide you to what you should do. Because like the way we do it, there's different roles. So like I'm in acquisitions and I'm in asset management in the deals that we take down. Um, I have people who work in due diligence. I have partners who help us, raise capital for deals. I have, partners who are doing the things that they're great at that I'm not great at. So I think that's a big thing. Figure out what your goals are. If you want to be totally passive, sweet, put some money in as a LP, a limited partner, and get great returns with our deals. If you want to be like super active and you're excited about acquisitions, well, then find deals for people. Find deals for me and my team. Like there's a ton of different things you can do, but until you know what you're excited about, it, you know, it's gonna be very murky. So I'd say know yourself first.
For sure, for sure. And what he's talking about, y'all, which is a great point. There's too many people trying to pick your brain, right? And they're not offering value, right? There's too many people. Like this is my opinion. The days of coming to people and saying, "Oh, Mr. Woodbridge, can I take you out to lunch? Can I buy you coffee?" No, that's not a good use of his time. And although he has a giving spirit and he has a big heart and he has the mind and a lot of knowledge in this space and real estate in general, add value to him. Find out what he needs for his Virginia deal and then try and serve in that way. And you'll find that a lot of investors will share their wisdom and their knowledge because you're serving them and you're helping them. And so, you got to change it, change it. So huge tip, Mr. Woodridge. So thank you for breaking that down. That was big, right?
Do you want to do you want to hear what I say to people who say that they want to pick my brain now?
Please.
It's the same thing. It's not like if I had all the time in the world, I'd love to have conversations with everyone because I love talking with people, but that's not how it is. So what I say, and here's my prompt that I send to everyone. I say, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm currently taking calls with two types of people: investors or anyone who knows people and interested in investing with us, and potential team members interested in bringing us deals. If you're interested in investing, here's the link to schedule a call with either me or my team. And, so it's WCINV group, like WCinvestmentgroup.com. And then if you want to join our team, the best way to do that is by bringing us a deal. You can sign up for free for our underwriting tool, a detailed video on how to use it, and like a little class that I put together, Loom videos on mobile home park acquisition. So here's that link. So here's all the value. Like, take it. I would love to talk with you, but I cannot. So if you really are interested, here's some two big things that you can provide value to us and join on the team.
Love it.
Here's a mic drop.
Mic drop. We've been dropping mics all day, all episode.
That's it, bro.
Sir, this has been an impactful, incredible conversation. I love it. I love talking about real estate. I love learning, and I love that you shared and you gave back today. Sir, do you have a book? Have you broke it down?
Not yet. Not yet.
That's fair. Well, I appreciate you for what you do, and again, giving back in this way and spending time with us, right? And really sharing your heart and sharing your mind, incredible mind. You could have done anything in the world, and instead you chose to be here with us. So I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Appreciate you guys.
Super dope. How can people connect with you? How can people learn more?
Yeah. So again, if y'all are interested in investing, do the WCINVgroup.com. I'm on Instagram, tim.woodbridge, I believe. And then, Facebook, timwoodbridge.54, I think. I know I should have these things more solid. I don't. If anyone is interested, like, send me an email and say that you want to pick my brain, and then I'm going to send you exactly what I just said. And then, but like, at least then you'll get, all that free stuff, like the free course, the free acquisition stuff, the free analyzers and stuff like that. So like, send me an email, woodbridgerei@gmail.com. That's the actual business email I use, and say, pick your brain, and I'm going to send you exactly that. And I really hope that like y'all utilize it to learn and like understand how you can provide value to the team, and then bring us a deal. Let's take it down together and join our team, man. I love that. I love people. I love working with people.
Super dope. And on that, like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and Mr. Tim Woodbridge signing off. Love you guys. Bye.